I'm not going to stand before you long at all, but I'm grateful to be here today. I don't know about you, but God has just been good to me in my life. Amen. 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 This morning we're going to be coming from the book of Matthew. If you have your Bibles or your iPhones or your tablets, very quickly we're going to turn to the book of Matthew, chapter 9, verses 27 through 61. That's Matthew chapter 9, verse 27 through 31. When you have, say amen. This morning I'll be reading from the English Standard Version. Amen. Verse 27 reads as follows. And as Jesus passed on from there, two blind men followed him, crying aloud, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." Yeah. When he entered the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus said to them, "Do you believe that I'm able to do this?" They said to him, "Yes, Lord." Then he touched their eyes, saying, "According to your faith, be it done to you." May the Lord add a blessing to the reading and the hearing of his holy word. Amen. Verse 29 said that he touched their eyes, saying, "According to your faith, be it done to you." And you know, my brother was just talking about this last week. We were blessed to sit under him as he preached our morning worship last Sunday, and he talked about how in seminary our professors would challenge us to come with a subject for our message. So that if I had to attach a subject to the message this morning, I would entitle it Overcoming Barriers. All right. Hey. All right. Overcoming Barriers. Yes, family, this text comes from what is known as the Synoptic Gospels. All right. The Gospels of Matthew, Luke, and Mark are known as the Synoptic Gospels because they contain many of the same stories. All right. All right. Synoptic is simply the synonym of summary. For this text in particular, Matthew, Mark, and Luke all reference the same accord. But each reference tells a slightly different version. All right. Although each reference may seem slightly different, when you pay close attention to the structure of each viewpoint, it reveals that every account, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, end with the same meaning. Here the lesson gives us a blind man who overcame the physical barrier of being sightless. Yeah. The only way he was able to overcome this barrier was because he managed to put himself in a space with Jesus, a space where he could not be ignored. See, family, when you have faith, you understand that faith has a way of being daring enough to overcome any obstacle in order to get an answer from God. But when we try to operate without God and left to ourselves, we easily give in to the enemy's schemes. We become so involved in the affairs of this world and its moral darkness that in the end we start to become spiritually blind. My point is, church, that just like this blind man Bartimaeus, there will come time in our lives where we all will experience some type of barrier. Come on, son. Bartimaeus' barrier was due to physical blindness, while many of our barriers are due to spiritual blindness. I love this text because it illustrates what the early community believed about Jesus. They believed he was endowed with God's power to heal impossible situations. Impossible situations such as blindness. But when it comes to overcoming barriers mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, I wish I had someone that would agree with me that when I say that Jesus is still in the healing business, he is still doing the impossible. He is still breaking barriers. No matter what the barrier is, no matter what the situation is, if you want to be freed from that barrier, if you want to be liberated, if you want to be delivered, we must first make the decision to pursue Christ. Then you must have faith and believe. The only problem is many of us aren't even capable to see the barriers that are holding us back. And it's not because we are physically blind like Bartimaeus, but it's because oftentimes we think we've got it all figured out. And our lack of faith is causing us to be spiritually blind. 2 Corinthians 4 verse 4 says, the God of this age has blinded the minds of the unbelievers. See, when you are spiritually blind, you may still be able to physically see, but you cannot see the spiritual entities that are holding you back. It's only by the power of God through Jesus Christ that the veil be lifted from our eyes so that we can spiritually see the barriers that are keeping us down. Bartimaeus was delivered from his barrier because he pursued Christ and Christ saw his faith. Here in the text, according to Matthew, this man had the boldness to come off the street and follow Jesus into a house. He didn't even have permission to go in. There's no clause in the text where it says this man was by any means worried about not being invited. Sometimes you don't need an invitation. You just gotta show up. Bartimaeus wasn't concerned about whose house he was walking into. Bartimaeus had a need. He wasn't worried about proper protocol. He was determined to pursue Christ by any means necessary. What this shows is that your need has a way of giving you boldness. Your need has a way of giving you the audacity. Your need has a way of giving you determination. This man, he was blind. He wasn't worried about his surroundings. The answer to his need was in that house. We have to know how to position ourselves, just as Bartimaeus did. And not only allow anything to hold us back from pursuing Christ and getting our blessing. No matter what anybody else says or does, especially to our children going back to school this year, no matter what anybody says, no matter what they does, don't let anything stop you from believing that Christ has the power to give you everything you will ever need. When you believe God, and when you know where your blessing is, when you know who has the power over your life, even when it doesn't seem that God is moving as quick as we want, you have to pursue him until the answer comes. Bartimaeus pursued Christ. Too many of us have become too comfortable in our barriers. We're no longer in a pursuit of change. We've gotten comfortable with our negative addictions, with our drug abuse, our fornication. It's okay to talk about it. Our adultery, our insecurity, homosexuality. We've done away with trying to be holy and acceptable unto the sight of God. We've started searching for a God that would allow us to continue to do what we want to do. My brothers and sisters, our earthly urges and situations were designed to kill. They were designed to steal and destroy us. And the only way you free the grip of the enemy is to pursue God in the name of Jesus. In the text, Bartimaeus had a need. He made up in his mind not to leave the presence of Jesus without his blessing. When you have a need and you know who supplies your need, you don't have time to be prideful. It's time to humble yourself and say, Lord, here I am, standing right here until you bless me. Bartimaeus, he was blind. I can imagine him now knocking stuff over, trying to get to Jesus. That's what you have to do sometimes. You gotta set things in place to get to Jesus. But faith has a way to find its blessing in the dark. Faith says even when you can't see your way, you can believe your way. Your physical sight, as you see here in the text, can easily let you down. Believing your way through is a foundation of our faith. I have faith and I believe that. You cannot have God if you don't have Jesus. You don't have a God if you don't believe in Jesus. Because see, the gift and the giver goes together. If you have God, you have Jesus. If you have Jesus, you have the Holy Spirit. If you have the Holy Spirit is your way out. God didn't just come to heal us. He came to dwell with us. Just as God did with those 3 Hebrew boys. You know the story, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who chose faithfulness despite the persecution they were going through. God does not always deliver us from the fire. God sometimes has a purpose for allowing us to go into the fire. When you keep your faith in God, regardless of what everyone else is doing, regardless of what everything else is happening, God will cover you and protect you as you go through. Here in the text, Jesus said, do you believe I can do this? Do you believe that I can break the hold of the enemy? Do you believe that no weapon formed against you shall prosper? Healing is about belief. Breaking barriers is about belief. God making a way is about belief. Being set free is about belief. At some point, every man and woman will be faced with the same question. Do you believe? Do you believe that God is able? Do you believe that God is a way maker? Do you believe that God is a change maker? Do you believe that God is the Alpha and the Omega? God hears you when you pray. The blind man stumbled around the house. He was in a dark place, knocking stuff all over. But he heard the voice of Jesus saying, do you believe? Bartimaeus said, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes to your will, Lord. Yes to your way, Lord. Yes to your word. If you believe God's word, you ought to shout, I believe. I believe. I believe. When you confess with your mouth, you'll be able to sing a new song. Where I was blind, but now I see. When I was sick, my healing was in you, God. Yes, Lord, to your mercy. Yes, Lord, to your grace. Yes, Lord, to your peace. Yes, Lord, to your strength. Yes, Lord, to your power. Yes, Lord, to your love. Somebody say, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. God told Bartimaeus, according to your faith, you have been made whole. How many of you know that you just have to believe? No matter what you're going through, if you believe, you ought to stand up on your feet. You ought to thank God for his grace. You ought to thank God for his mercy. Somebody ought to say, I believe this morning. I believe this morning. And even on this morning, although many of us may be saved, there's someone here who wants to know what it means. What it feels like. Or what it is that they have to do to be made whole. What do I need to do to be made whole? All of us here today have had to go through some things. We've had to deal with some barriers, some circumstances.
Hallelujah.
Many circumstances that we deal with aren't even because of things that we've done. Circumstances that have passed down from generations. Barriers that have come into our lives from other circumstances. We've all had to deal with those things. But family, in order to get over these things, we have to be like Bartimaeus. And we have to position ourselves in the space with Jesus where we cannot be ignored. We have to position ourselves and not allow anything to get in between our praise to God. Not allow anything to interrupt our belief in who he is. No death, no sickness. We're going to go through some hard times.
Hallelujah, God.
But we have to believe.
Hallelujah.
And in your belief, the scripture shows us that you will be made whole.
Amen. Glory, glory.
If you believe that this morning, why don't you say amen? And right now, if you have not given your life to Christ,
Yes, sir.
if you have not made that confession, if you have not expressed to him that you believe, we're going to give this opportunity now. If that's all right.
That's all right, brother.
Right now. If Christ isn't your Lord and Savior at this moment, we don't have any more time to waste. The time is now. It's now. Give God your all. And he will never leave you or forsake you. He'll be with you through everything. Yes, you'll face times of fire. Yes, you'll go through hard times. But he'll be there with you in the furnace. In the name of Jesus.